Now we're heading to the origin of Sharia audit. Historically, Islam introduced the concept of hisbah, which is in accordance with the concept of Amar Ma'ruf and Nahi Munkar, which means enjoining the good, forbidding the evil. The role of this hisbah institution is to supervise, regulate, and prevent fraudulent consumer exploitation on the environment and extends back to the time of Prophet Muhammad SAW and the first four caliphs. During the period of Prophet Muhammad SAW, efforts have been made to bring the aspects of economic, religious, and socio-cultural life of the people to promote ethical values in the Muslim society. With the implementation of hisbah, the purpose of Sharia, which is described as the goal or maqasid Sharia, can also be achieved. By understanding the concept of hisbah, it proves that hisbah should be the foundation of Sharia audit. Now we're heading to the definition of Sharia audit. The new policy document of Sharia governance has defined Sharia audit as an independent assessment on the quality and effectiveness of INCEIF internal control, risk management system, governance process, as well as the overall compliance of the INCEIF operation, business affairs, and activities with Sharia. AAOEP defines Sharia audit as the primary objective of the internal Sharia review carried out by an independent division or part of an internal audit department is to ensure that the management of an EV discharges their responsibility in relation to the implementation of the Sharia rule and principles as determined by the EV Sharia Supervisory Board. Now we're heading to the Sharia audit process. There are 6 steps in Sharia audit process. The first one is the preliminary review, and then they need to establish materiality and assess the risk, and then plan the audit, and then consider internal control for Sharia compliance, and then perform the audit procedure, and the last one is to issue Sharia audit report. Now I'll be talking about the Sharia audit feature. First one is the planning process. The critical features of the planning process. The first one is to go through the preliminary review as tools to perform the sampling. And the next one is performing the sampling. The next one is on the execution process. The first one is the need to conduct internal control evaluation, and the second one for external auditor. Internal audit is part of the plan because we want to rely on the reporting and so on. And lastly, for internal auditor, part of execution scope of internal audit because one of the objectives of internal audit is to look into control. Thus, internal control evaluation is major scope in internal audit itself. Last one is on the audit report process. The critical feature is that Sharia audit report is presented to the audit committee, then the appropriate decision will be made by the board. Last, we will be talking about the Sharia audit methodology. On the planning phase, we need to understand the business of the EV itself, and then we need to understand the concepts appropriate for the business. And then we also need to identify the appropriate evidence and gathering techniques. And then last, we need to develop proper audit plan. And on examination phase, we need to examine or the actual fieldwork is very important decision in audit methodology. Examination is the implementation of initial audit plan, and this is the phase which will make the entire procedure a successful one. Among the techniques that can be used include examination of paper, interviewing, direct observation, benchmarking, surveys, case studies, and so on. And then on reporting phase, the first part is the executive summary, which includes introduction, overview, audit objectives and scope, risk profile, rectification of previous findings, audit assessment, management discussion, and then last, conclusion. The second part is detailed finding. This one includes current audit findings and status of previous audit findings. And then on the third part is organization charts and photographs. And lastly, appendices. And on the last page, the audit documentation page. Audit documentation is the cornerstone of auditor's findings and supports its report. It also provides an assessment of the work's quality and conduct by presenting written evidence supporting the auditor's findings. Audit documentation is also referred as working papers or work papers. These are the papers that record all overall activities of the auditors during the auditing process and the results and conclusions drawn by him from the audit evidence.